Hello, folks. This is Rock Talk. Wow, cheeses. Whoopee, Greg's bought the snacks. I've not, but I've had my chocolate earlier on. We've got a special guest tonight from Canada, the mighty Dan Powers.
I thought I was just
And
thanks.
say hello, Dan. How you doing, man?
How's everybody doing out there?
Whoopee. And just going to introduce tonight's topic, Greg. Go on, I'll let you do the honours, mate. You tell us what we're all doing tonight.
Okay, we're checking out the top 15 songs of all time for Judas Priest, and we'll see who's right and who's wrong once we're done. Hope to do it in an hour, hour and a half or something. Depends how much we blab. But yeah, we'll start out with one at a time. I'll do, say, 15 to 11, then Dan, then Steve, and then I don't know about top 10 if we'll do one at a time after that, but we'll see how our time goes. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's the subject. And yeah, this was hard.
Greg,
This was
should
really hard.
we just do about alternatively, or how do you want to do it, mate? Should we just start at 15 and we'll all do a song? Then we'll go 14, all do a song, do it like that.
If you don't think it'll take too long, I don't mind.
Yeah,
But
it's up to you, mate. How do you want to do it?
okay, we'll do it one at a time. Go 15
Yeah.
and 14. Everybody do 14. Everybody
Yeah,
sees
and
13.
13, do it that way. And
Okay, sure.
but yeah, I'm not bothered for time anyway. You can take it as long as it wants. It's going to be probably at least an hour and a half anyway. Time we've discussed everything. But
Okay.
yeah, just welcome everybody, folks. But say it's Judas Priest tonight, and welcome Dan. What got you into the metal, mate?
Man, I'll tell you, like Priest was one of those early bands for me from like '84. I remember sneaking into my older brother's room and listening to like Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders and Sin After Sin, and that's how it all started for me. Like
Right.
my music journey started with either Kiss or Judas Priest. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
How did yours start, Greg?
I had Purple and Sabbath and everything first because I'm the oldest here by a couple of decades. But the first Judas Priest album I ever heard, and I don't know if it was an import, but it was Stained Class. And it blew me away because nothing sounded like that except Sabbath. Nobody else
Right.
sounded like that. And I heard Stained Class and just blew me away. This other guy really liked Foreigner and Eddie Money. And I always wanted to play Judas Priest, that album. And then it just got better after that. And then I went back to the back catalog and that. So yeah, I got into Stained Class about 77 or something because Priest wasn't really known that well. And I saw them live on the Heck Bent for Leather tour. So that was about 79. So
Yeah,
that's
with
my
me it
Priest
was a bit
story.
different.
Pardon? What's that?
With me, it was a bit different to you guys. It was
Mhm.
sort of the band, I knew they existed in the 70s, and I had a copy of Stained Class on tape. But I know you lads have probably got it on your list. They did a horrible song called Breaking the Law, which I can't absolutely stand. It's well documented. And I sort of put them on the shelf until 91. Then I was at work at Plastic Omnium where I used to work. I heard this heavy metal song come out called Painkiller. And I said to this guy, I said, this is a flipping good song. Who is it? He says, Judas Priest. And I said, wow. I said, they changed the sort of song, their tempo, because they used to be a lot slower than this. That's when I got into them on the Painkiller tour. I saw them live at Aston Villa Leisure Centre. Rob Alford was in his prime, and he did an amazing set. Annihilator from Canada with a supporting act. And I've been a super fan ever since.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Jeff Waters from Annihilator. That would have been a good show to see.
Yeah, he was there, but they had problems because the lead singer literally walked out the night before, or something had happened in the band, and Jeff Waters had to do the whole show virtually single-handed. So I think the lead singer did a runner, or somebody did a run out of the band. It was a funny night with Annihilator.
Well, any guy that could do and pull off a show single-handedly would be Jeff Waters. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, without further ado, should we let the guest start first? Dan, let's hear your number 15, mate.
Yeah, my number 15 is coming from 1978, and it is Stained Glass. I absolutely love this song. I love the riffing to the song. I find for me with music, if a song kicks off in a really nice riff or a killer riff, it always gets me going, right? This song was just one of those songs. It's just an amazing album. And it's funny, as we were doing this list and I was going through lists and I was replaying songs again, this was high, then it was low, then it was high, then it was low. And I think we're all going to go through that same thing, all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, number 15 is going to be Stained Glass. Absolutely love the song, killer song. So there's number 15 on my list.
Right. Greg, do you want to have a go next?
Okay.
This is like playing Russian roulette, isn't it? The winner has to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'll just mention, or do you want honorable mentions later at the very end? Just honorable mentions.
Yeah,
after?
we'll do honorable mentions now, Greg. I've got a few.
Well,
yeah, I've got a few coming up.
Stained Glass was one of my honorable mentions. If we had a top 25 or 20, it would have been in there, but just got bumped. It's horrible the songs we had to leave out.
Tell me about it.
But I'll give you all my honorable mentions right now and get them out of the way. Then Hot Rockin' didn't make the list, but it should have. And Grinder, Heck Bent for Leather, and there's a little wild card song on Sin After Sin. They had some bonus tracks on a re-release, and one of them's the song Race with the Devil that I know of. It's a cover by somebody originally, but Girls School covered it. So me, it's always like a Girls School song. Right. But I just found out that Preist did it, and they do a really good version. So it's a real bouncy song. So that's the honorable mention. But anyway, I'll get into the number 15 off of Heck Bent for Leather is Delivering the Goods. So
that's a cracking song.
Yeah, I had to fit that in the top above those other ones, which is impossible, but because like you said,
that Delivering the Goods, that was off what album was it?
Hell Bent for Leather, or
Hell Bent for Leather.
Yeah, you know it as Killing Machine.
Killing Machine, that's right. They had to change that name later on, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. It was, it's right. I just got confused there with another song, Dissident Aggressor. It's all right, your brain. Yeah. So that's your number 15, is it then, Greg?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Mine's going to be a bit controversial, lads. But I mean, I could have picked so many. Maybe Turbo Lover. That's one I like. You got Another Thing Coming. I haven't picked that one tonight because there's so many good tracks out there. Like Greg said, we should have done at least 25, 30. But to me, it's worth a mention because I think it's absolutely amazing. But it's off a really bad album.
Well, you just started a controversy, and Dan's going to settle it right here and now for the rest of eternity. Is Turbo Lover good song or a bad song?
It's in my top 10.
Okay. No, I don't like, maybe that's like Kiss's I Was Made for Loving You or something. It just sounded, because of the sound, it had a different sound than
it. And I think for a lot of people, I think Turbo album gets crapped on a lot.
Yeah, it does.
It's a good album. Like it did. It went commercial. There's no question it did. But I found in '87 when they did that tour, that tour was an absolutely amazing tour.
Mm-hmm.
Played a lot off that album, and I just remember hearing Turbo Lover for the very first time, and it came out in '86, and I loved it. And to this day, nothing's changed. I still absolutely love that song. Like I like it.
Yeah. Okay. I lose.
I'm strange because when Turbo came out, I thought it was a good album at the time, and I remember. Obviously, I didn't hear it very much, but I've always liked Turbo as an album. And people say it's one of their worst ones. And, I say not to me, it ain't. And I quite like. I mean, Turbo was very commercial. Greg sent me something on email the other day with KK Downing said they had to do commercial music apparently because that's what the record company wanted. And I was having a read. But I like Turbo. It's not one of their best tracks, but it's probably in the 25. If it's doing a 25, 30, I'll stick it in there. But no, one of my best tracks, I've got to stick it in because I knew none of you lads would, but I actually genuinely like it. It's off a rubbish album. Well, some people say it's a bad album. It's when they got the synth. They shouldn't have got that bit. They should have left the synth out of the equation. And the album I'm talking about is Ram It Down. And this album gets a lot of stick. It's one of these you love it or hate it deals, and that's Blood Red Skies. It's got a killer It's what I call a killer atmospheric track. It's got a killer introduction. Rob Alford's vocals is just brilliant. It's the sort of song I want to see at a Judas Priest gig. You know, when you want to start a concert with all the red smoke coming across the stage. To me, it's a perfect starter for any concert with Judas Priest. The only thing I hate about it is that synth. There's just too much of it. Maybe they could sort of put some decent riff in it or nice guitar, better guitars. It would be one of their best tracks in my mind. But I've always got a love relationship with Blood Red Skies. I think it's an awesome song. And I think they did it live recently. I saw it on YouTube. They did it live in one of the recent tours as well. But yeah, I like it. It's definitely in my top 15 anyway.
I like that song a lot too. So
yeah. Right, number 14.
Well, I guess that's me, huh? Okay. We go to. Oh yeah, I had to make a couple of lists. I had to change the list, so I keep forgetting it's in this final. All off of "Screaming for Vengeance," the title track. That had to be in there. What can I say? That was heavy. That was really perfect speed heavy metal for that era, like 1981 or 2. I guess 82. I think it was. So yeah. That was a pioneering song. It just was like Exciter off of Stained Class, but I don't know. Yeah, I just think that's a great song. It's just
I agree. It's a song.
Yeah, me too. No comment. Me too.
That's my 14. So yeah.
Yeah. Dan, what have you got, buddy?
Oh, sorry, I butted in.
Sorry, Greg. Sorry to interrupt you.
I butted in there. Sorry. Actually,
No. Butt in all you want, man.
Okay, whatever.
So my go? Is that how it works?
Yes, please.
So my 14 is an honorable mention that Greg had said, and it was from the British Steel album, and that was Grinder.
Oh, yeah.
I love that song. I know a few years ago I had a compilation album where the band Creator had redid that song, and it was just phenomenal.
Oh, write that down. Yeah.
I've always loved that song. It's British Steel is probably one of the most popular Judas Priest albums, but that song was so heavy, so fast. It was just really balls to the wall, and it came in at 14. I had it up higher, but again, I just moved tracks around, and
and I feel guilty. I've just lied to Greg. I'll tell you in a minute, Greg. I've just made a bit of a boo-boo. Greg will know. Oh, God. You'll see in a minute why. But, it's definitely on there, Dan, Grinder.
Non-commercial sounding.
I still love it to this day, so.
Yeah, it's one of the songs that could have been on my list. It's one of the songs I've left off that could have been on the list. It's tough. I mean, I've spent I don't know about you lads, but I've literally spent about 3 days pondering my brain, and I've been playing with this list for like 5 days now. And to do it is really, I found it really, really difficult.
It was difficult because I understand, because I did the same thing. I played with the list and changed the list and moved the list.
Yeah,
probably all.
Well, I feel really sorry because I've just lied to Greg, and he'll find out in a minute why. But it wasn't intentional, Greg. Forgive me.
Okay.
Whose turn? Greg's, isn't it?
No. You got to do number 14, I think.
Okie doke. Mine's another controversial. Well, not controversial, but a strange one. But again, I like it. Everybody else doesn't, or some people don't. But I think it was a good track. It's a stand-up song. And that's off Sin After Sin. Another underrated album, which I think I love this album. And it's got some classics on this song, like Sinner. That could have been on my list. Dissident Aggressor. That could have been on the list. But bet you can't guess that the one I've gone for is the Joan Baez or Basie cover version. Diamonds and Rust. And again, I like it. It's a great Preist song. It was a cover version, which took my mind they've improved. And I just generally like the song. I think it's a great track. And, it's just one of the songs I like.
That made my top 25. I had to cut stuff out, but with an asterisk beside it, because if I could include live songs, if I could include Unleashed in the East, my top 8 would have been all Unleashed in the East, and Diamonds and Rust on Unleashed in the East would have been my top 10. But
greatest live album of all time. I'll argue with anybody over that. That's probably the greatest live album of all time.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite agree with that, but it's up there.
Oh, I'd put it in the top 3 probably.
It's definitely in the top 3.
But it's the greatest heavy metal singing performance of all time, I think.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
You can take Gillan. No one sings like Halford on that. It's absolute perfect. I don't even care about singers that much, but I've never heard a singer sing as good as anybody as him on that album.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right. Sorry, Dan.
So who's up next?
Looks like, was it Diamonds Rust? It was me. Who wants to go next, Dan?
So I guess I'm at 13. Is that how it goes?
Sure.
Yeah, 13, please. I may have got this wrong, but 13, cheers.
13 for me is from off of 2013, the Firepower album, and that's Rise of Ruins.
Right.
When the album came out in 18, and I realized, KK was no longer there. Oh, nice, really nice. And Glenn there for partial bits and pieces of that album. I could have picked 3 or 4 songs off that album. Oh man, Greg, that's a nice T-shirt. I like that.
I know.
Very nice. I think Rise from Ruins is just an absolutely amazing song. And I remember when I first bought the album and I heard the album in its entirety, I knew, I was like, holy, that's my favorite song on the album. It's been 4 years now, and it's still my favorite song. So love that song, love the album. So for 13, I had to go with Rise from Ruins.
Did you see the Firepower tour?
No. That's the problem here on the East Coast. We don't get a lot of concerts unless we go out of town. So I got a friend of mine who lives in Ottawa, Ontario, so I can go to Ottawa or surrounding, but not here on the East Coast.
And Uriah Heep backed them up, and Uriah Heep was really good. And actually, they had a new album out, which they played a few songs off of. I thought, wow, they sound good. Like they didn't turn into just a keyboard prog thing. They were just good, heavy, a nice match with Uriah Heep opening and then Preist.
Oh, nice.
Okay, should I go now then?
Yes, 13? Please.
Okay, get rid of this other piece of paper that's mixing me up. This was so hard. Anyway, I had to go off a Point of Entry. So I'm on the run. I just love that song. That's just a highway, top down on the convertible, open highway with no traffic, summertime song. It's just rock perfection to me. I love that song. Underrated because that album's underrated. Did you guys ever like Point of Entry? Because when it came out, I was into Preist 3 or 4 years before that, so it seemed like a big letdown to everybody at the time. It was because they were going up, and then Point of Entry just seemed different. But now, on hindsight, I think there's great songs on there. But anyway, did you guys? I
agree, Greg. I think because the cover was banned. I think was it in Britain or America or something? They didn't like the original cover, and they put this stupid. I've got it here somewhere. It looks like an aeroplane or something. That's it. That's the one that was banned. I think it was banned in the UK or something. But yeah, I think it's a great album. I like it, and it's certainly underrated.
Yeah, I absolutely love Point of Entry. That's probably my top 3, one of my top 3 favorite Judas Priest albums, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Greg, I'm going to confess, mate. I sent you should have had another thing coming, and I said it wasn't on my list, I generally thought it wasn't on my list. I've just had a look, and it's at number 13. I must have added it, in the amendments this morning. So yeah, that's a Screaming for Vengeance. I've got it here. I've got the CD somewhere, but I can't find it. So I pulled. This is what Greg sent me, I think.
Yeah.
This is Screaming for Vengeance. Yeah, I think this, as I said before, this album's going to feature a lot. It's an absolutely amazing Preist track. It's just everything. The twin guitar attack, the drums, the vocals. It's just a top track in my mind. It would have got to not in the top 10, but I'm not going to say why until the very end. But it could have been easily in the top 10. But it's at number 13 for reasons I'll reveal at the end of the show. But yeah, it's just a killer track. It's got everything. It's got Alfred's vocals, great live track, and it's amazing. I'm sorry, Greg. I apologise, mate. I thought I'd amended it, you see, and I didn't realise it was on the list, so I apologise for that one.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that live Vengeance 82 DVD, the Scream Vengeance Tour DVD there's a great version of that song live, but I always like live versions better than studio. Almost all.
Mate.
Yeah, that song live is really good, and a crowd pleaser.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right, do you want me to start off this time?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, this is not a controversial one. I like it. And I actually saw them. The reason why I picked it, I saw them do it live. And I like it. And it's off this album, Painkiller. And it's Nightcrawler. And it's a great live track, great vocals, great musicianship. And it was one of the standout tracks of the show when I saw them. And I absolutely love the lyrics. To tell you the truth, I find them a bit corny now. But I've always had a sentiment. I like the music side and this big thing with red lights on stage. It looked really amazing. But it's maybe a bit corny vocally, but I generally like the track. But honourable mentions, it was one of these on my list. I didn't know whether to stick it on or not, because it could have been replaced by at least another 6 or 7 songs, but I decided to go with that one at the end. I just generally like the song, and it's just a good song.
I agree, Steve. It's a great song. I remember when that album came out too. That was another one of those tracks off that album I really like. To this day, I still like it. It's an awesome song.
Right, number 11. Are we still on 12?
12, yeah. You're up, Greg?
Okay, 12. Okay, 15, 14. I should have numbered these. Well, I had to go with where did I put the shirt? Well, since we're on the topic of Preist, to show this hoodie, Sweden Rock Festival, and on the back, out of all these bands, hundreds of whatever, I guess I don't know how many's on there, but Ozzy and Preist get the marquee. It's hard to see all the others, but anyway. Nice. Yeah, so Preist, that's how respected in the music community Preist is. But yeah, off of Screaming for Vengeance, now that I lost the book. Oh, okay. That's why Zulu's the star of the show, not me.
No, I'm terrible, mate.
Riding on the Wind.
Yeah.
The underdog song that, but live on that DVD again, that 82 Scream for Vengeance tour. Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah, I agree. Great song.
That's about all I had to say about it.
So yours, Greg, is Riding in the Wind, is it?
Yeah, he's riding the wind, exactly. Number 12 for me was from 1975, and it was The Ripper.
Yeah.
It'll probably go a little higher on some of these lists. I like the song. I actually really love the song, and I love Sad Wings of Destiny. It's probably top 5 favorite Judas Priest albums, but I just find The Sinner just one of those songs. It's a concert play song, and I've always loved it. I still love it. So for me, it came in at 12. Could have been higher, but I left it at 12.
With me, Sad Wings is my favourite album by theirs. There's what I call the big four of Preist, which is Screaming, Stained, Sad Wings, and maybe British Steel, but it's out to arguments or Stained Class. Did I say Stained Class? Screaming. Sad Wings are free, and maybe British Steel, but that's out for talk. But yeah, it's definitely on. Sad Wings is one of mine, but The Ripper is just amazing. Every song off that album's amazing.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to really talk about it. We'll leave that one to last because you got to find out why. But yeah, amazing. So what number are we on, folks, now? We're on
11.
11. Who wants to start?
Do the honors, Steve.
Well, Greg's just said it.
Oh.
And yeah, I put this at 11, was Riding in the Wind of Screaming for Vengeance. Cracking song. Again, it's just Rawk perfection, as a great Greg would say. It's definitely got to be in the should have been in the top 10. But I don't know if you know, Dan and Greg. Greg knows, but Holford did the Resurrection album as a solo album. And there's the Tour album off that. And he went into a lot of the Preist songs, but he sort of made them, a bit more modern. Like the best version of that is Genocide. And this is another song he did, was Riding in the Wind. And it was an amazing version, but he wasn't with Preist then. He was with solo. And funny, after that album, I think he rejoined Preist. Yeah, it's just a killer track. And that made my number 11. So two great dunces think alike, Greg.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we should get a dunce cap for that.
Yeah.
Autograph it, sell it on eBay.
Yeah, get 50p.
Yeah.
Right. Who's next?
Go ahead, Greg.
Okay, for number 11.
Yeah.
Oh, from Point of Entry, Desert Plains. I just love that song. That's just a 10 out of 10 any day of the week. Again, another just going on the highway, rock perfection. I don't know, feel good song. I don't know. That's not much I can say about it. It's just great. I love it.
I agree. So my number 11, I went with obviously. I went with Love Bites. This will probably be high, maybe on your guys's. I remember the first time I seen the video and heard the song for Love Bites, that the starting of the song, and probably, in my opinion, it's probably one of the heaviest Judas Priest songs. Like, for heaviness, when you really stop and think about it and listen to it, very heavy song. It came in at number 11 for me. But again, it could have come up a little higher, but I absolutely love the song, and I put it at 11. Defenders is one of those albums that just never gets old. And
No.
I could have put 6 songs off this album just on my list, but anyway, I decided to put Love Bites at number 11, and that's where I put it. So
that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, what number are we on? 10 or 11? I've lost count. 10, isn't it?
10, yeah.
10. Do you want to go next, Greg, or do you want me to go?
Sure. I can go. Sure. Top 10. Oh, and don't forget, we can use the full screen thing.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm sleeping tonight. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's good practice for later. You didn't have to do it on me, though. But anyway, number 10. Off Hellbent for Leather or Killing Machine, whatever you call it. Rock Forever. Another underrated, just non-commercial, a deep cut. I just think that song's fantastic. The sound quality, everything. So it's just one of those underdog songs that I think deserves more attention instead of Living After Midnight, like the regular whatever hit songs by them. So yeah, they made my top 10, that made my top 10.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Hang on a sec. That's it. Brilliant. Do you want to go, Dan?
Yeah, sure. I can go. Number 10 for me was the song Painkiller.
Yeah.
First album that featured Scott Travis. And I remember, you know, hearing that drumming and that song when it first started off, and then the black and white video and that solid scream from Rob Halford was like, holy dying. Like, it just seemed that in 1990 you could see a shift in the music genre a little bit.
Yeah.
Where the hair metals were starting to fade, and then obviously 91, 92 in the grunge, but for Painkiller was just an absolutely amazing album, and it was a shame because I do believe that was the album where they cut the tour half off, because I think that was when Rob left. And
he did, yeah.
So I think that was the album halfway through that tour when he ventured off and left, and then Fight came about, and then it took the 2005 Angels of Retribution for Rob Halford to come back, but I thought it was just an amazing song. Fast, heavy. It just almost gives you goosebumps when you hear that intro start to that song.
Yeah, I mean, the best one for me is when I look at Painkiller, I call it the comeback album, because they had this is a crazy album for me. I'll explain why. If you look at the previous couple of albums they did, they weren't as good. They were a bit funny because they got this, because KK or somebody got the brainwave of introducing a synth into the band. It didn't go quite as well. But to me, Painkiller was the comeback album. And like you say, the whole tempo of it changed. Why did Rob Halford leave a band after you've just done an album like that? The mind boggles. You know what I mean? You just recorded something that good and you go and leave the band. Because I saw them live in England, Aston Villa Leisure Centre, and they could barely fill it. Their stock was that low in this country. They did the Hammy, and they did a working's men's club. Was like a few hundred people. But Halford, agree with you, Dan, it was up tempo album. And it was a different sort of change of direction to me. And you look at the later stuff from Angel Retribution above, that Painkiller was like a template for all that sort of stuff as well. And that's what I think about it. But as I said, to me, it goes down to the Odyssey is when you, as a heavy metal star, like in the League of Halford, and you've just made something that good, and he went to leave after, I can't fathom it out.
Yeah, in that whole departure, there was a lot of tensions.
Yeah.
From the band at that time, and it was. And you're right, Steve. Like, to make a great album like that, and it was. Every song on the album's amazing, and to make a good album like that, previous albums to Turbo or Ram It Down or whatever, I thought it was such a heavy. And the thing is, I think after the Halford, even with the next two albums, Jugulator and I think it was Demolition with I think you're probably right. They wouldn't have filled stadiums with different lead vocalists. It would be like Iron Maiden and the X Factor. They didn't fill stadiums with that. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but you know where I'm getting at with that.
Yeah. Because I told Greg this before, but you Americans and Canadians are the best of Judas Priest, because for some reason in the 70s they could perform the big stadiums in America. And I think it was certain appearances they should have done on British TV, and they sort of snubbed them. I don't know what the story behind it, but the British fans, we felt a bit left out. And I've got friends today that won't buy a Judas Priest record, and they won't go see them live because they feel like they just went where the money was. It's a very controversial subject, but even KK Dowling said in his book they did make mistakes. And if they hadn't, I always felt that, because you look at Maiden, when they tour, after Seventh Son, they started hitting the stadiums. That's sort of what exposure Priest should have been, because to me, they're far superior, Maiden, in a lot of ways. And Priest should have been where Maiden was, sort of in the UK and worldwide. And this is, I'm talking about like during Painkiller, that era. They are now, because obviously Angel of Retribution, new generation of fans, not the old sort of like we are, who knew them in the 70s. But
Right.
people don't realise, but the stock then was so low. But I always felt, it's like I held them up last week, I always felt they underachieved. They could have been a lot better than they were. I mean, they were, don't get me wrong, they were amazing in America. They had everything. But in Europe and the UK, especially in the UK, the stock was really low, especially when I saw them. I mean, I could walk round the floor and I could have stood next door to Halford, which I did. When he was singing Victims, I was about 8 feet away from him. And it was the strangest gig I've ever been to. But now you wouldn't even get, you'd be lucky to get on someone's shoulders. People don't realise this. I've seen bigger pub bands, than Preist. And what you got to remember was Preist was one of the biggest bands, in metal history. But it's crazy. But then when I saw him in '91, and to me, Painkiller, I call it the comeback album. The material was absolutely fantastic, easily the best stuff they'd done. And Halford went and left. So go figure, as the Americans say.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly what you said. Yeah, no, I agree. But, and Greg can attest for this, like Canadian and North American bands for the European metal bands is completely different because Saxon played here, opened for Preist with, let's say 2,500 people, or even if they were the opening act, they played here, they get 2,500 people, but they play in European countries, England, Europe, place like that, and get 10,000.
Yeah.
It's completely different, Def Leppard was one of those bands that can attest to that. I think they came to the North America for the popularity that they were going to get.
Yeah, strange that is, because I mean, some of these, was it Guns N' Roses? Someone was talking to somebody, I can't remember what band. I think it was Guns N' Roses, I may be wrong. It could have been, I think it was Guns N' Roses, but I forgot. I was in a pub and I was talking to this guy, and he said Guns N' Roses were huge. They were like tipped for the big thing. And when he saw them, they come over here, they played a dingy little run. But you say about you want about Axl Rose, but he does half know how to put a show on. And he said he knew they were going to be huge, and it was the sort of last band that sort of had the attitude. You don't get that in metal now. You don't get that. You get it in some bands, but it's very not as much used to be that sort of swagger. You don't seem to get now. Right. He said, "Blooming hell, this band's going to be huge." And when it took off, everybody said, "Oh, I was into Guns N' Roses." But I agree with what you say. But a lot of these bands are absolutely huge in America, and they come over here, they're not so big. But with Preist, I mean, they were huge over here one time, but it was something to do with TV appearances. They sort of backed out at the last minute or something, and that's what caused the problem. They snubbed the fans, and that's what the fans. Once you snub the Brits, especially where I come from, because Greg will tell you, but I live near Birmingham, which is 30 miles away, and you've got Black Sabbath, Judas Priest for a local band to me, and it's literally 30 miles down the road. I've got Black Sabbath. You name it, every heavy metal band comes from down the road from me. And around here, you got towards Birmingham metalheads. You've got to be very careful what you say there, especially about Sabbath, or you could easily lose your teeth. People are that passionate about it. And but I mean, some of them like Preist. I like Preist, but a lot of the lads I know up there, they won't touch Preist for that reason. They felt snubbed. They felt they just didn't do it to the British fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it my turn for number 10 now?
Yep. I had Painkiller at number 10.
Right. Yeah. Right. My one is, hang on, I just put myself on this.
Steve, before you start, have we had any comments? Anybody commenting?
No, we've got 3 people watching. We've had no comments yet.
Okay.
It's all right. We catch up during the week.
Yeah.
This album, arguably the seminal album. Can you guess what track it's going to be?
I'm not going to guess, but because it's too low.
It's a cover version. It has to be the Spooky Tooth, Better By You.
Oh.
Now, yeah, when I hear that song, I think to myself, why do I like it? Because of the intro, the sort of straight part. But I love the chorus. Again, it's just a weird track I like. Many people don't like it. If I was doing a top 25, it was sort of way between 20 and 25. It was a hard one to place, and it was one I was tempted to replace from the list altogether. But I thought it had merit. It was the one that got me, if you don't know, got me into trouble in Arizona. Subliminal messaging. I've never heard any. It tells me to buy more cake and chocolate. That's the only seminal messaging I'm getting out of it. I've been listening to it for 10 years. But yeah, that'll be on my list. Better you buy you, better buy me.
Wow, that's a cool underdog song to pick.
Yeah, it was a weird one because I didn't want to put it on the list. Then it was one of those where your conscience tells you, when you go to the fridge, you want a bit more chocolate cake, and your body's saying no, but you're saying yes, and you sort of go in the end. It was like that me with that song.
Okay, yeah.
All right, Greg, let's hear what your
Number 9.
Number 9. Oh, I think I said the wrong one last time. Number 9 should have been Desert Plains. Number 10 was Rawk Forever.
Right.
Hellbent for Leather. So I think I got that right. So we're doing number 9. Okay, yeah. 11 was Desert Plains, 10 Rawk Forever, 9 Desert Plains. So that's what we're sitting at with me now. So I think I got them mixed up there, but the pressure being on an elite show like yours is kind of gets me my nerves.
Same here. Can I just say quickly, Dan, it's on mine at number 9, Desert Plains. That's my number 9.
Your number 9 is Desert Plains?
Yeah, it's off that album. That's on my number 9 as well.
Wow.
For the sake of honesty, it's there. I won't show you the list, but it's definitely on there. But yeah, it's my number 9 as well. Awesome song.
Yeah.
What's the odds of that?
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. It's an amazing song. So for my number 9, I'm gonna go with the Turbo Lover from the Turbo album. I know we just talked about it a while ago, and I was gonna go. It could again. That song was high, low, but it's just every time I find another great song, it would fall. And I still, to this day, I love the song. So I put it at number 9. So for me, we got to go number 9 for Turbo Lover.
Happy New Year, John, mate. Glad you've made the channel.
Wow, that's
John
amazing.
Bitbot Boom, and we're honoured. How you doing, John?
Hey, John.
Yeah. That's having an all-star come and listen in. Boy, I hope he's listening to us with the mute button on. He'll probably turn it off right away if he hears what we're saying.
Yeah, what's your opinion, John? Judas Priest songs. Love to hear it. We're sort of analysing them very closely tonight.
How about Bitbot Boom do his top 3, just our top 5, whatever he wants. But I'd like to hear what his top 3 songs are anyway.
Yeah. But it's amazing. Really nice, John. Really chuffed, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just made my night, that has. John Bitbot Boom. Wow.
Yeah, Superstar Rent-A-Car. That's
pretty
good.
He's still got his New York taxi as well, parked at our Telford Town Centre. It's still there. I made a video about it when I first started on the VC. And the New York taxi parked at our town centre.
Huh.
Yeah, it took us nearly a week, John. We know where you're coming from, man.
Oh, that's hours and hours and hours and hours and re-listening, changing page after page. I even lost my first list, and yeah, it was crazy. Top 25 or 30, you could even more, and that's not including live albums.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been tough, I tell you. I mean, I reckon I must have put at least 10 hours into this easily, getting huge headaches, thinking about it. And
yeah.
Paracetamol must have, if you were vesting paracetamol when we do these shows, because the headaches you get.
Yeah.
Pardon? Sorry.
No, I agree. I agree with Steve said. Like, I bet you I played my top 15 that I wanted, and then all of a sudden I put Sin After Sin in, and I'd start playing that album, like, oh, geez, like, this is going to be on my list, or that's going to be on my list. So,
Yeah.
one of those things, right?
I rate the songs out of 10. Like, I listen to the songs I really like on that album, rate them out of 10. Then I can sort of weed them out. But after I had 25 of 9 out of 10s and 9 out of 10s, I had to rank them out of 100. So one would be 899, or like, it was just ridiculous. But what can you do?
Yeah. But no, it's crazy with me because a lot of the songs I felt I left off should have been on the list. And a lot of the stuff put on the list, maybe like Better By You, maybe Diamonds and Rust. They did better songs. So what do you do? Well, we've got Screaming for Vengeance, Sinner, Exciter, definitely the top 15, in the top 15. I agree.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's amazing choices.
Yeah, just check me this. I don't think they made. Yeah, there were the sort of 2 songs that got replaced. I thought of them. I can't say too much. No, keep stum, Steve. But yeah, but just put it this way: a couple of them songs enticed me, and I was racking my head over it.
Yeah, Sinner was on my list, and it slipped out. And but tomorrow it could be on. Right?
I know.
Me too.
Yeah.
Especially me top 3 or top 4. If you ask me tonight, the ones I've given, and you ask me in half an hour later, they won't be the same.
No. Oh, I agree.
I mean, it's only a great heavy metal band. You can do this. I can only think of about maybe 4 or 5 bands in heavy metal where you can actually do this with. They're just so good. And, so it's like, they're just tremendous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Where are we? Number 8?
Number 8.
Greg, do you want to go first?
Okay. Yeah, again, point of entry. Like, I'm surprised because I did these all. I listened to every album from the start when they, like, Rock and Roll on. Like, so I'd end up putting these early ones on the list, and then they get nudged out, and then I'm get to point of entry, and I'm like, oh crap, how am I going to leave this out? Oh, let's just see what this is. Sinner might fall off my list too if I start going through all the great songs. Unless you're talking Sinner off of Unleashed in the East, then it could be in a top 15. That's the thing, is Unleashed in the East is just, well, that's just me, but it's just such an absolutely amazing album. Probably the greatest, at least I'd give it maybe the greatest single live album instead of a double record or double album. Sinner might fall on those two. It started going through. Yeah, I know. It just, you bump. But sorry, I'm yakking. So number.
Carry
8.
on, Greg.
So 8, we're doing 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heading Out on the Highway. That's one where I had the cassette, and then for years I had a cassette player in the car, and anytime I would go to Vancouver or Calgary, Edmonton, like, they're all 500 miles away, 800 kilometers away by myself. Let's see here. Okay, that's my wife's phone. I would always wait till I'm sort of in a little residential neighborhood, but once I turned my left turn signal on to go that way and get on the open highway, like at 6 a.m. by myself, click, in goes Heading Out on the Highway, and just crank it, and just no one around, no one bugging me, no traffic, and just rock perfection again. Yeah, that's all I can say about it. It's just a perfect highway song. It's a Highway Star. Actually, I'll probably have to take Highway Star over Heading Out on the Highway for the ultimate highway song, but that's because of the solo. I mean, the rest is pretty equal, but the solo on Highway Star is pretty special. But they're both 10 out of 10s.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
Dan, do you want to have a go next, mate?
Sure. Number 10 for me came from the first Steel album, and it was Rapid Fire.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Whenever I play First Steel and that song comes on, that riffing at the very first, just Oh, it's such a killer song. It's one of those songs. It's the same thing. Like you get in the car, you're driving, and go like a battering ram. It's like holy dying. That's just awesome. I love it. So my number 8 would be Rapid Fire. Love it. It's one of those great songs off that album. That album is so iconic. It's just those great albums or songs from that album.
Yeah, because this is a weird album. This is mine. It's Painkiller. The Painkiller song itself of Painkiller. We all know it. And the sad thing is, if somebody asked me what my top 5 Preist albums were, and I've got to be honest, this one probably wouldn't be in it, or even probably top 7. This album wouldn't be in it. It's what called a comeback album. Like Dan's talked about it, so I shan't talk about it too much. But I like the drum intro, and I love how they manipulate it at concerts. You get like a drum solo, and he just goes into Painkiller, and it was a new drummer. It's a killer song.
And again, Steve, it goes back to Rob's vocals on that album were so strong.
They were, yeah.
Like that song is so strong. Like he sings so hard.
Yeah.
It's just crazy on that album, on that song.
Well, when I saw him perform it, a friend of mine I was discussing, he was a big Queen fan. And he's a big metal fan. He said only 2 singers in the history of rock and metal have cut him. That was Rob Halford and Freddie Mercury. And I saw the concert, and be careful what you say, Steve, for reasons that will be apparent later. But yeah, I agree with you there, Dan. But his vocals, because I'm not being nasty, but now he's not as good as he was before, because obviously he's 70 years old and he's lost a lot of his range. But when I saw him, he was on top form. And the vocals, the best I've heard. And I know Greg's seen him earlier, where they would have probably been even stronger. But I said, when you're talking about heavy metal singers, Alford's way above everybody else. I said, it's just amazing stuff. You've got to be there to appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agree. Wholeheartedly, yeah.
Oh, what's this? Riding on the Wind, not top 10. Okay, yeah, Riding on the Wind made my top, where was it? Number 12 of all time for Judas Priest was Riding on the Wind. That's a nice choice, though, because it's such an underdog song. Everyone knows lots of other songs on that album, but no one talks about that one, so it's nice someone...
Song. That would have been one of my honorable mentions for sure, but it didn't make the top 15, so it's a great song.
Number 11 for me on my list.
Yeah.
Right. We're now getting close to number 1. These songs are sort of, it's getting better. We're on number 7.
So you
Who wants to go first? Stick your hand up.
Oh, sure. Oh. Yeah, number 7 off of British Steel. Rapid Fire. Yay. So I was so happy when you mentioned it. Oh, that's my wife's friend again. But anyway, yeah, that's just such a deep track, but it's could arguably be their best song of all time. So I just love these. That's why I really like Heck Bent for Leather, Rapid or Killing Machine, whatever you want to call it. I love that. That's my underdog Priest album, because everyone talks about a couple of the others all the time, but that album for some reason just sort of sits there and nobody says anything about it much compared to the others. But
you're right. That song is just when I'm playing it and it comes on, it's just like I'm turning it up as loud as I can take it, because it's just an absolutely rocker of a song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's killer.
Is there a live version out there of it? I can't think off the top of my head.
Know of.
That's crazy. That would be a perfect live song. Holy cow.
Wouldn't
it? I'll have to look that up on YouTube, because there's got to be a live version somewhere of that.
Yeah, it's bound to be somewhere.
All right, Steve. Yeah.
Right, number 7 for me is off this album. Hang on. Sorry, I'm not putting everybody. It's off the Defenders of the Faith. And to me, it's one of the best songs off there. A lot of honourable mentions I could have picked, but I absolutely love it. and that is the Sentinel.
Yeah, nice.
And to me, this is it's just a typical Judas Priest song. Screamy vocals, amazing riffage. You can't go wrong with it. And it's a great live track, and it'll definitely be in my top 10 all day long.
Agreed. Great song.
Yeah.
Again, Defenders was one of those albums. I think each of us could have took 5 songs off that album.
Yeah, easily.
So is that version you were showing there the one I've
Yeah,
got?
it's the posh one. It's the that's it. Yeah,
the live album and whatever else. Yeah,
it's got a live album on it. It's recorded at the Long Beach Arena, and you've got a load of live songs. You've got the main CD, and you've got 2 gigs, both at Long Beach Arena, Defenders of the Faith tour. And yeah, it's got all the songs. I play it regular. It's just amazing stuff.
I was gonna pick that CD up, and I never did. I still have my originals and my vinyl, but I often thought about getting it. So.
Yeah, this is just a killer CD. I'm not bragging, but when I play Preist, this is probably my go-to CD with Defenders. But the only problem is I'm not going to 3 songs I don't like off here because I know what he's singing about. It gives me nightmares. But the other stuff, you can't beat it. And yeah, this is my go-to Judas Priest CD.
All right, so my number 7th from 1978, and it's Killing Machine or Hellbent for Leather, whatever you want to call it, and it Delivering the Goods.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That song is just such an amazing song. I know for myself, I'm a big hair metal guy. I love it. Love Skid Row. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that on the B-sides where Rob Halford, Bastion, they do.
That's a good album.
Yeah.
There's only 5 songs on it, but yeah, they cover Rush and Priest. They do excellent versions. Yeah, that's a great album.
So when they did Delivering the Goods, it was like, oh man, what a freaking amazing job. And it came in at number 7 for me because it's still one of my top favorite Judas Priest songs of all time. Absolutely love that song.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I had it number 15. It's just hard. It's just too many songs.
Yeah, that would have made my list as well, but there was another song I was thinking of, I was pondering on, but yeah, it's a killer.
Yeah.
So everybody's gone. 6.
Okay, me?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Now we're getting into the gold territory, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this is where I might even put a line in the sand between 1 and 6, and then a tiny little ledge below is every other song, which is hard to say, but this is where Victim of Changes. That's just, especially on Unleashed in the East, it's just, if you're going to have one song in the history of rock for a guy from a UFO to come down and say, what's a heavy metal song? What does that sound like? Well, Halford is absolute best. Yeah, so Victim of Changes, that's how hard the stupid list is, because that should be number 1. When I just looked at it now, I went, how could that only be 6? But that's the way it goes.
I'll abstain from commenting.
This album,
okay.
They do a cover of Victim of Changes off this album right here, and it's completely mind blowing, right? So,
I'll write that down. I didn't know that. Okay,
Dan, you'll have a go. I won't say anything for obvious reasons that will become apparent later. So I'll abstain from this one for apparent reasons that will become apparent later. So you'll understand why. So I'll pass it over to you, Dan. I'll step out of this one for a bit, if you don't mind.
So my number 6 is from the Defenders of the Faith album, and it's Free Wheel Burning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what Greg refers to getting in the car, and that song comes on. It's next thing you know, you're doing 130, 140. It's just one of those songs. It's just absolutely fast. It's an amazing song. Again, it's one of those songs we could have picked 5 more off of this album.
Yeah.
I'm in the video for Free Will Burning when it first came out. And, I'm talking when I'm 13, and it's just mind blowing at that time. So at number 6 for me, I had to go with Free Will Burning.
So that makes me think of Judas Priest Live, that brown covered album that came out in 86 or 7.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That song was on there, I think. But where do you rank that live album with Unleashed in the East? Are they like one's way up here and one's way below, or is it close?
Well, again, I think it's close, but this is the one, obviously, from the Turbo tour. This is an absolutely amazing live album. I actually have this on DVD as well, and
I think I have as well.
Yeah, it's ranked up there. Like, I think I remember commenting on one of my videos in the past, and Greg sort of corrected me a little bit. Like, I said that Worldwide Live was one of my all-time favorite live albums, and then I corrected myself. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That might be number 2. Unleashed is, to this day, still. Greg's more of a live album guy than I am. I'm not big on the live albums as much as Greg, but Unleashed is just the best live album.
Yeah, to me, it's up there. It's easily the best sort of. It will definitely be in the top. Like if you're talking best live albums ever, it'll be definitely in the sort of top 5 for me. But yeah, it takes beating.
The brown
and Free Will, Little Ripper.
Sorry, the brown covered Priest live album you'd put in the top 5, or
no, Alive in the East.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but but the brown album is a good one. I've got it on DVD as well, Dan. I'm sure I have somewhere.
Yeah.
Plus it has some point of entry tracks on it, which is key getting them live.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, we agree, John. There.
What? Yeah. Bip Bop Boom had a good point there. But Dan, what songs from Point of Entry are on that live album? Probably Head Out on the Highway and Desert Plains are 2 of them.
Yeah, Heading Out to the Highway. Desert Plains isn't on it.
Oh, it's not. Oh, too bad.
No, I think it's just Heading Out to the Highway.
Just one made it. Oh, that's bad. Because Hot Rockin' should have been on, or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot. Well, there's how many songs? Look at the trouble we're having to pick. How do you think they had to?
Yeah, well, exactly. I was a little weird about when they kicked off this tour with the live song for Out in the Cold from the Turbo album. Don't get me wrong.
Another song I love that song.
Me too, and it was in my top 15, and it did get shuffled out. It just seemed to be a strange song to start off.
Yeah, I love the vocals off that one. It's another Halford sort of masterpiece. That is, his vocals are amazing.
Yeah.
But yes, I just love that song.
Yeah, early. I've got tape. Thanks. Thank you. Wife's just reminding me that the Canucks hockey game is on early at 4:00. Usually the games are on at 7, but they're playing.
So how long have you got, Greg?
Pardon me?
How long is that, please?
Oh, I'm taping it. I've got it recorded.
It's okay then.
Yeah.
Hey everybody! Happy New Year!
Hello, Shirley.
I'm out of here. Happy New Year!
Happy
New Year!
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're in the top 5. Is that where we are now?
We're at 6. It's my turn, I think.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Greg, I'm not being funny, but you're blocking your camera with your glass.
Oh, is it showing?
Yeah.
That old hockey.
Making me thirsty. Screaming for Vengeance. That's it. That's made my number 6. Screaming for Vengeance, the song. What can you say? I'm not going to say that because you guys have already said it. But what can you say about that song? Typical Priest brilliance.
Yeah.
Nothing bad about it. Great vocals, great twin guitar attack, great everything really. Just a seminal Priest song.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I had it at 14.
Yeah. That's why I didn't say too much, Greg,
Yeah, no, that's fun because it builds the suspense.
Yeah.
So we still got 5 each, which is 15 songs to pick right now.
We've still got 5. We're on number 5, and we've got 5 down to 1 now. This is where it gets serious. The
Yeah.
5th best Judas Priest song.
Well, okay, I'll go. And I cheated on this one. It's just because you have to cheat.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven.
The Hellion Electric Eye. That's just if that's not the greatest opening 2 song. It's just one song actually. You can't play one without the other. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
you know, you could argue that as the greatest opening song of all time. Period. Out of anybody.
Yeah,
let alone the pardon.
I completely agree.
Oh yeah.
Me too.
And the live 82 Screaming for Vengeance tour version, yeah, it's just, and it's only at number 5. How can this, that could be number 1 on anybody's list and I wouldn't tell them they're wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So carry on.
I shall keep a bit quiet for reasons to become apparent. But Dan?
So my number 5, I think, is probably going to be a little shocking for the both of you. And off the Ram It Down album,
Oh,
I'm a Rocker from 1988.
Wow.
I'm a Rocker. I remember the first time hearing the song when I first heard this album. And then I seen live versions of I'm a Rocker, and it was just mind blowing. Like to me, it's one of those songs. It's just it's not too heavy over the top Priest. It's just a good rocker of a song, like a slower paced rock song, but there's something about it. I absolutely love the song, and I played it again just to make sure. And at first I had it at 3, and then I was like, you know something, I moved it to 5. It stayed at 5, and again, it's a really really good song, and it's I'm a Rocker. If you've never heard it, listen to it again. I'm quite sure you'll probably like it.
I'll have to reacquaint myself with it later.
Yeah.
I have a question about it. Do you know the song Rocker from AC/DC, from especially off of If You Want Blood, You've Got It, where I'm a rocker, I'm a roller, I'm a rocker. Like, do you know that song off by heart?
I think I remember hearing the song. I don't know if I know it right off by heart.
Okay, I was going to argue which song was better. So
Oh, okay.
okay, never mind.
But get a chance, Greg or Steve, check out that song. I'm a Rocker.
Oh, well, after the stream, mate, you've got me curious because
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
not.
an album, because Ram It Down's got a really bad rep, but it's an album it wasn't bad. Johnny Be Good, I think that was written for a film.
It was.
And yeah, and what happened was the film bombed, and that's why it was on there. But that's sort of a low point of the album. But it wasn't a bad album. I thought it's not the best, but it wasn't a bad album. But say Blood Red Skies for me off that one.
I remember the album when it first came out, and that was my standout song, and it's still my standout song. It's still one of my favorites. So,
wow.
I like that when an album does that to you, where it just that one song, it always stays number 1. Like it's the one that instantly hits you, and it doesn't change. It just
right.
it's that good. You just
Yeah.
can't.
That's that song to me. So, and I know my ears are different from yours, and that's just the way it is, right? So,
yeah. Right, should we do number 5? Can I go first, please, lads?
absolutely.
For reasons to become apparent. Free Will's a total ripper. I think we've had that comment. Sorry, lads.
Oh yeah.
Not my mistake. These glasses. I've got to go to the opticians next week as well. Now, my next one is off this album, British Steel. And I've got a funny relationship with this album because I think that's British Steel, yeah. And I'm just having a look at it. It's got some great songs on it. The only one I didn't like was Breaking the Law. And I can't stand that song. It's absolutely, I'm not going to talk about it. That's why it's not made my top 20, because some people think it should do, because I just don't like it. But to me, it's got one of the best songs they ever did. And the reason why I've chosen it, because it typifies heavy metal to me, that's Metal Gods. Now, when you listen to that song, you hear Holford's vocal, but it's not the words alike. It's the music. And it reminds me when I worked in the factories back in the 90s and early 2000s, and you hear the presses going in the factories. And, we gave the world heavy metal in Birmingham. And if you go into like an automotive plant, or where a lot of these, I think Tommy Iommi worked in one of Sabbath, and you go into these places and it's just pure heavy metal. It reminds me of the manufacturing robots like you see in the Preist films.
Yep.
Or it's just typical Preist, and it's definitely a top 5 track for me, Metal Gods. And to me, it's what heavy metal is. It's all the best qualities of it as well, presented in one song. So it's definitely got to be on my top 5 all day long.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. It's an amazing song. I love that song too.
That's one of those you kind of need to see in concert.
Yeah.
Every time.
Cheers for joining us, John, and have a
yeah.
happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you.
You'll have to join us one of the times, mate. But yeah, happy New Year to your family.
See you later, John. Take care. Happy New Year.
Wow, when we get someone like Canadian VC superstar Dan Powers on here, now every other star in the whole internet shows up. We get credibility. Street cred for your show.
Well, it's not my show, Greg. It's yours as well, mate.
Oh, I'm just the...
Yeah, you're the knowledge, you are. You know, you got me in awe. You are, far more than I do. You just, we're like a unit. We work together, and that's it. We do what we can.
Well, the two of us make one Dan, so that
yeah. Yeah, but Metal Gods, easy a top 5 track for me all day long.
Yeah, I agree. Great song. So who's doing 4?
We still on 5?
Over.
Yeah,
5.
I've done...
Rocker for 5.
Right, so we're on 4 now.
Yeah. Well, you've got to stand by for this one. Stand by for Exciter.
Yeah.
So that's number 4. Again, that could be number 1 on anybody's list, and I'd go, you're right. But it only made my number 4. That's how good this band is. And how hard this stupid list was. I love that song. Instant I heard it, because especially when it came out, what would have been 78 or something? There was nothing like it. Even Sabbath didn't have a song like that. And they had Symptom of the Universe and like fast songs, but this just took it to another little notch of, but it was still melodic, because it didn't turn into just a bunch of noodling and stuff. It was, and everything, and no one drummed like that. I don't think on any song ever before that either. Like,
yeah, that was a heavy song for the 70s. You know what I mean? Like 70s had a lot of hard rock, obviously with Sabbath, Diamond Head. That song, I thought Preist had some heavy songs from that era as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has
Sad Wings, a testament to heavy, isn't it? I mean, that was a game changer. But when heavy, it's not much heavier than Sad Wings. And it's just an amazing song, that Exciter. That was, I think, that could have been on my list as well. And I was pondering over, and I was pondering. That's one of me ponderers.
So
I played it a few times today. Funny enough, Greg, this morning I had my mobile phone on at the side of me, and I was playing some of these songs, and I played it about twice. But I thought, nah, go for something else.
Wow, didn't make your top 15. Wow, okay.
You'll see why.
That's the fun of the list, though. Yeah,
it is, isn't it? So it's you next, Dan.
Okay, so my number 4 for one of my favorite Judas Priest songs is off of the Screaming album, and it's You've Got Another Thing Coming.
Yeah.
Simple reason is, when I first got into this album, when I was like 14 years old, that was one of my favorite songs. It's still one of my favorite songs, even though it's a little bit more, it gets a lot of airplay time. Actually, I just saw it in a commercial on TV not long ago for a phone commercial, I think. But anyway, I still love the song. When I used to have the metal band here in Fredericton, we used to jam the song all the time.
Oh, wow.
It never got old. Like, it's it gets a lot of airplay time through radio play, but to me, it's still one of my favorite songs to this day. I still love it, and that's why I put it at number 4, just for the reasons. Not that it's still a really great song, but I think it's memories of when we jammed the song, we played the song, it got me free. So I went with You Got Another Thing Coming at number 4.
I had that at number 13. I've just checked, but it's definitely got to be. That probably would have been in the top 10. Yeah, I definitely agree with that one, Dan.
What instrument did you play when you were playing that song?
I played bass.
Oh, bass. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's cool. Yeah. Do you have any video footage that you can put on YouTube?
I think I still have on one of my old Facebook pages. I think I still have some old video that we did. We did, like, for example, You Got Another Thing Coming. I think I still had that. And we did a couple of Metallica Master Puppets, and we used to play all that stuff.
Yeah, I love that song. It's my favourite Metallica song. That is.
Yeah.
Master.
Mm-hmm.
That guitar is just amazing, and it's killer.
Yeah.
It looked great song. So who's next for their number 4? Is it you, Greg, or is it me? I've lost count.
I think it's
my number 4. My number 4 was Exciter.
Yeah, so I think it's my turn. My number 4 is off this album. Sad Wings of Destiny. And to me, again, it's another Judas Priest song. I think it's got to be one of the best metal tracks of all time. It's easily got the best twin guitar attacks of riffs of all time, and that's Genocide. And it's just a killer song from start to finish. The vocals, the music, the guitars, you can't fault that song in my book. The riff is just killer. It's easily, to me, a top 5 song by them is Genocide.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great song.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the live version, that live version on Unleashed the East could be Priest's greatest song, that live version.
Well, I hate to agree, but I like the Holford solo, the one I sent you. You know, the Rob Holford album, Resurrection Tour, where he did the live version off that. I like that version as well. But yeah, it's just a killer song. It's the guitars. We could talk about it all night, but it's just, it's just so good. You know what I mean?
And I love the way Halford introduces it on these discos. Genocide. He's not joking. He's just serious about it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a killer track. Right, is everybody done 4, please?
Yep.
Frey, who wants to kick the ball first?
I guess I will off of this.
Oh, yeah.
The Green Manalishi with the 2-pronged crown.
Yeah, the old Fleetwood Mac song. Pete Green.
I think I've heard the original. I just thought it sounded kind of boring, but I mean, how Priest can turn something that's boring into something that great is just amazing. That's just got to be number 3.
I had a feeling that song would make an appearance tonight.
That should.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it would have been sooner, but I agree. It's a great song.
Yeah, there's no Pete. I think Pete Green with it, Fleetwood Mac. He wrote it, but I was reading. I actually found out what it meant. And the Green Man Unleashed, he's talking about the American dollar, and it was about all the bands that were making music or getting paid too much and sacrificing their music integrity for money. And it's right. We just got a thumb up here. Don't know what's happening here. It's right, but it's a great track, Greg. I agree with you, mate. Phenomenal song.
I didn't know what it meant. That's funny.
Yeah, apparently it's to do with money. It was in them days. I think Pete Green wrote it. It was them days where a lot of money was starting to come into music, and people were writing songs or something. He felt that was the opinion anyway, for the money. The Green Man Unleashed, the American dollar, basically, and that's what it was based. With a 2-pronged crown, it's like they're selling the souls to the devil, and that's what the song was about, really. You're taking the money, you can't provide the audience with anything good. It was about the music industry in general. And because I read it, I think I told you, I put it in one of my videos anyway. I actually said what it was about. But yeah, it was a really, really sort of powerful song for the time. But I like, as you say, I like the Preist version better. But that's sort of the standout track from Unleashed, wasn't it? That's one of the stand tracks.
Yeah, for sure. Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great tune, great song.
Yeah. Yep. Everybody done number 4?
Yep. So Greg.
Yeah, I've done.
Sorry?
I've done 4.
Have you done 4, Dan?
I've done 4, yeah.
Cheers, mate. Number 3.
My number 3 is from the Point of Entry album, and it's Greg already talked about it. It's Heading Out to the Highway.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
That song still one of my favorite songs. Again, Point of Entry is probably one of my favorite Judas Priest albums. So that was an album I could have took 3 or 4 songs off that easily, but I took Heading Out to the Highway. Love that song. And again, we've talked about it. It's a rocker of a song. So I took that at 3.
Fair play.
Yeah, great choice.
Do you want me to go next for a change, Greg, or do you want to go?
Sure. I think my 3 was Green Manalishi, so I've said my number 3. So,
yeah, well, mine is off. I won't hold it up again. But it's off Screaming for Vengeance. And Greg's already mentioned it. Is Hellion and Electric Eye. And that was definitely in my top 5, that song was. It's the intro, and it's just nothing's bad about that song, but it's got one of the best intros ever. I absolutely love the sort of bit where it builds up, the Hellion bit. Then it goes into that riff, and it is these 3 could have swapped places. This one could have been my number 2 favourite. It's one of the songs I associate Priest most with was Hellion and Electric Eye. It's definitely my favourite. And what peed me off when I saw Painkiller, and they never did it. And when you don't do your favourite song, I thought they've got to do it. It's such a killer song.
Yeah.
They had a drought in their live shows where they never did it for a few years. And to me, it's easily in the top 5 all day long. Just absolutely, it's great about it. But I love the beginning, that that I can't sing to save my life. But that intro, it's just that bit. It's just amazing. Then definitely in my top 3.
Just like Greg said, it's the best opener for, you know what I mean? One of the greatest openers, right? And it is.
Yeah, easily.
I mean, Neon Nights from Sabbath is a fantastic opener, or Flirting with Disaster from Molly Hatch. You could go Highway Star, you could go on and on and on, but I mean, that one, I don't know, I'd have to think long and hard about it, but that'd be another big mental battle to figure that out.
That'll be another battle for another day.
Yeah.
Could be.
Right, has everybody been?
Yeah, we're on number 2.
Whew. Right, I've got a feeling I know what this is going to be from at least one of you guys, or maybe both you guys. So who wants to go? Do you want me to start, or does somebody else?
Go ahead, Steve.
Right, this one, Any Given Day, is my Judas Priest best track of all time. It's one of my favourite songs of all time. It's off Stained Class, and it could have swapped. I don't know where I put it, but you have to trust me. I've dropped it somewhere. Here it is. Sorry, I had it in my hand all the time. But it's off this album, and it's Beyond the Realms of Death. Now, any other day, that would have been number 1. But for reasons become apparent, I stuck it down at number 2. Just a killer Priest track. The way the tempo changes, the music, it's just got everything. The vocal range, it's just a killer track. And it's definitely in my top 5. But not on a normal day, you ask me what's your favourite Priest song, I have to say Beyond the Realms. But today, for reasons that become apparent, I've had to put it down at number 2, which you'll find out in a minute.
And that's a great number 2, because, when I played that album again last night, I thought, where can I put that song? And again, it would have been an honorable mention to me. As much as I wanted to put that in my top 15, I was just, what do I move out to put that in?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had 15 list the way it was, because if not, I could be here for another week. So
yeah.
all right, Greg, I'm curious to what you got for number 2. I'm really curious.
Well, when we first started doing this show, and I've thought for years this was my number 1 Preist song, and I would have had Victim of Changes as number 2, but where is it? I did go with Beyond the Realms of Death as number 2. It got bumped out at the last second. It just got bumped out, and I don't know. Tomorrow could change, but yeah, Beyond the Realms of Death. And it just sounds so clear and modern. Some of the other songs on Stained Class I find sound a little dustier and a little more, I don't know, dated almost. I don't know. But Exciter doesn't sound dated, and Beyond the Realms of Death certainly doesn't. It still sounds like it's way ahead of the curve. But it's just the guitar solo in there is one of the greatest solos in rock history, period, by anybody.
Yeah.
And if someone said that was the greatest solo, I wouldn't argue either. So
No.
Yeah, what I love about it is the lyrics. I mean, I listened to it, and you're trying to figure out how. I've always wanted to know what was he actually writing about, or what was the song actually about. I'd love somebody to tell me, because the lyrics, when you get into it and listen to them, they're just beautiful. And if you just sort of close your mind from the music and just listen to what he's singing, and it's just mind-blowingly, you know what I mean? And it's sort of song I love for Rob Alford to come on here. You never know, he might be watching, or I'm someone out of Judas Priest, and tell me why did you write? What was the inspiration behind it? It's one of these songs I'm really curious about.
And why wasn't it on Unleashed in the East? That should have been a double live album.
Yeah.
Fit it in, but
yeah, because that was another funny song, wasn't it? Because I think Beyond the Realms they didn't do for ages either, did they?
No,
that was left off the list.
Yeah, I've got it on a 1980 live album, but yeah, rare. That's why I bought it. And when I saw that Beyond the Realms of Death live, I'm buying it. I don't care if it's $20 or, you know.
Yeah. So for my number 2, I know you guys, I think, have already mentioned the song, so I won't talk a lot about it. And it was off of Sin After Sin. And again, it was Diamonds and Rust. I had that song at number 2 because it's an amazing song. It's always been a great song. For me, it's always been a good song. And when I was making this top 15 list, I had that song playing in my head for like a week straight. So I just knew it was going to be a 1, 2, 3 song going into this. I didn't even have to really put a whole lot of thought into it. I just knew it was going to be a top 3. I put it in at number 2. And again, just a really, really good song. Whether they do the fast version or a slow version.
Yeah.
Song.
It's funny you should mention that, Dan. I was listening to the slow version today, where he starts off like have you seen the acoustic guitar version of it?
I have seen that, yeah.
Yeah, he was doing a concert. They did the acoustic version of it. I know Greg probably wouldn't have liked it so much, but I was going to send it to Greg, but I thought, nah, he won't like this. But yeah, I was watching that today, and yeah, it was about the right position in my list. It's not one of my favourites. I certainly couldn't put it against my top 5. But it's definitely a killer song. It's a Joan Baez, but it's a very atmospheric song. It's just one of these songs that makes you think and listen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just a killer.
So for the Angel of Retribution, I've got the live DVD, a live concert from that tour, and they do the Diamonds and Rust slow version of that song.
I think I may have that on DVD. I'll look for it later.
Yeah, it's just an amazing slow or fast song.
Can I ask you a question, Dan, while we're on? You know the Angel Retribution, that was KK Dowling's last tour before he bailed, wasn't it?
It was, yep.
I thought it was.
2005.
Yeah.
The song on here, Worth Fighting For, I had it on my list. I took it off, I put it on, I took it off, but it didn't make my so
Yes, I've noticed that tonight. Only one song post Painkiller has made anybody's list. That was yours with Firepower. That song of Firepower.
Yeah.
I knew this would kind of happen because I don't tend to listen. I've got about 8 or 9 live albums I can see on my window ledge, which are sorted out. But I don't tend to listen after Painkiller because I miss it with poor KK. I just wish they resolved the difference and
Yeah.
maybe he could play a bit more. Because I mean, Rishi Faulkner's okay, but he's not KK. And you sort of get these big intros and this sort of stuff. But since
Right.
sort of Angel, you don't get that anymore.
Even off of Redeemer of Souls, there's good songs on here that I could have picked from. This was absolutely one of those not very great albums with Nostradamus. And of course, the 2 albums with Tim Ripperone, Jugulator, and Demolition. They don't get a lot of playtime for me, but they're still good albums. Just
What
not
was the story behind Nostradamus? There was a story behind it, wasn't there?
there was, yeah.
I forgot what it was now.
It's been a while since I did that album, so
I'll
Yeah.
be back in a. Sorry, I have to grab a cord.
Okay.
Battery's dying, so I have to get a bit of cord. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, Greg. Yeah, because there was a story behind Nostradamus, wasn't there?
yeah, there was. Now I don't know if you've ever seen this, Steve. This is like a tribute to Judas Priest. This is volume 2.
No, I haven't seen that one.
So, for example, for the You've Got Another Thing Coming is done by Saxon,
Wow.
and it's absolutely flawless. Like, if you ever get a chance to YouTube it. It's absolutely amazing.
I will after the show, mate.
Yeah, yeah. So I picked this one up. Oh man, I probably had this for 20 years. This CD,
Wow.
I've had it for a long, long time. And
Well,
again,
I haven't got to the UK yet.
I've got a couple of tribute Judas Priest CDs actually. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see who's everybody's number 1 is.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a clue. We'll wait till Greg gets sorted. It's already been mentioned, mine has. I think you can guess what it is. I know Greg probably knows what it is, but I left it till last. And yeah, it's going to be it's sort of interchangeable, and
So
it's
go
already
ahead.
been mentioned anyway.
So I meant to mention Greg. Last week, I went and got my tattoo done last week, and the letters are from Motorhead, but it's my last name. I don't know if you
Wow.
guys. So I had wanted to do something Motorheadish.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll use the letters for my last name. So
Wow. Yeah, I miss Lemmy. Rest in peace, but
Yeah.
I miss him.
yeah, I'm a big Motorhead fan too, right? So
Yeah. Well, are we ready for it, or do we want to drink just our pacemakers? Go into a bottle of vodka, or but this is the number 1.
this is what I've been waiting for.
Okay, I pulled a bit of an underdog song. I don't know if you guys picked this song. It's off of this, and it's not the Rage, because the Rage would. Well, there's a couple others too, but it's got to be Steeler, and I got to see them do it live a couple of years ago when they came here, and I just thought, wow, finally get to see it live. Because I don't know if I'll have to look on YouTube, I guess, but I don't even know if there's a live version of Steeler. There must be on. Actually, there is on the British Steel deluxe version. They did a 30th anniversary live. They did the old album live, so yeah, I actually do have that. But I had to go with Steeler because that's an air guitarist's dream song. It's just if you know how to air guitar, you'll sweat, and that one absolutely makes you sweat. I rank it up there with Light in the Black from Rainbow as one of the greatest songs of all time. But anyway, that's my pick.
I agree. That is a freaking wicked song. That's an amazing song.
Did it make your top 15? Well, no, we don't want to know because we want the suspense. There we go. There's a celebration for my number 1. Okay. Guess the less we
You ready
talk.
to go, Dad?
I'm ready to go. My
Go on,
number
mate.
My number 1 song, my favorite Judas Priest song, is off the 1981 the Point of Entry album, and it's Desert Plains.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know we've just discussed that song earlier, and that song to me is just all day long. Never gets old. That album never gets old, but Desert Plains is such an amazing song. And again, I knew playing that coming into this, it was going to be a top 3. And then I played it again between that, Guns and Rust, heading out to the highway, and I thought, Desert Plains has to be number 1 because it's just that good of a song. And I think we can all agree that is an amazing song.
Yeah, definitely top 10 material.
Yeah, Point of Entry is just an amazing album.
Yeah, it's a very underrated album, that one is.
It is.
that was my number 11, but that's how hard this list was. I mean,
Yeah, I think I had it on my list. I'm sure I did. That was my number 11 as well, because Greg and myself went snap, didn't we? So that's my number 11.
I had it at number 1, so
I don't mind. That's a perfect song. Just a good feeling desert song. You picture the beautiful, warm, because we're here. It's going to be minus 36 here in a few days. We get a blizzard before that.
Yeah,
we're in a couple of days.
So yeah, exactly.
So yeah, the dream of a desert plains, especially with that album cover that Zulu has with the airplane, like the
yeah.
It's just perfect for the summer.
Yeah, because that wasn't the original cover. Dan's got that one.
Because they banned that here. We have
I think it was banned over here as well, that one.
Right.
People can't see it till you point it out to them why it was banned.
That's right.
They say, why was it banned? And I tried to say, well, can you see it? No, we can't see it. It's a bloke driving a car down a road. I says, no, look carefully.
That's right.
And basically, it was too strong for the British market. It was a bit like the Scorpions, Baby, was it Child Killer or something? That one that was banned immediately. Like,
yeah, well, it was one of the top albums. You know, I was watching a program the other day talking about banned album covers, and you can go back to Cannibal Corpse and all these other albums, and the number 1 album was Virgin Killer by Scorpions.
Virgin Killers, that was it. But over here, Point of Entry was in the same sort of vein. They looked at it and said, nope, you can't do that. And half the people, you couldn't see why. What's wrong with it? It's a guy driving down the highway, but he's seen 2 mountains. No, it's not. Look carefully. But it's funny because you mentioned that. I saw a copy of Virgin Killers, the band copy. I know somebody's got one. And I think he bought it when it came out or near when it came out. I said, you realise that's banned, don't you? And he says, no. I said, yeah. I said, keep that one, well into your record. I said, it's a band cover. And he wouldn't have it. I said, what's wrong with it? I said, well, what's right with it? I said, you can't have that. And that was right. It was like, what was it? Like the Led Zeppelin one. Child of the Holy with a little kid sat on the causeway in Northern Ireland. That should have been banned as well. That was dodgy as well. Yeah, I saw a copy of that. It was about a few months back, and I said, yeah, that's a band cover. I said, you can't have stuff like that. Yeah, so do you want me to do the big reveal?
You're
Yeah.
I bet Greg can guess what it is, because he's already said it. It's off this album, and it's because I've saw it live, and I've seen him perform it. And to me, it's probably one of the best metal. It is. I'd stand by this statement. To me, it's close to one of the best metal tracks ever recorded. Victims of Changes, and that will have to be on my list. Everything's good about it. The vocals is sort of vocals that most mere mortals can only dream of. The guitar, again, twin guitar attack with KK and Glenn. It's up there. You just can't fault it. But it's the vocals that blow me away. You think, wow, how can somebody, do all that and be blessed like that? It's just, mind blowing. But that's definitely on mine. It could swap with Beyond the Realms, but it's definitely number 2 or number 1, depending what mood I'm in.
Yeah, and you are right. It's a great song. And I always think of like that song and just that album in general from 1975. Again, how heavy that album was for that era of music.
Yeah, it was a game changer, wasn't it?
Right? So, if people forget, Judas Priest was one of the pioneers, very, very heavy. But you looked at Diamond Head and those bands from those early 70s, they were heavy for their time.
Yeah.
And a prime example of one of those albums.
Because Diamond Head to me are one of the most. That's a local band to me. Because my mate, he used to go to school with a guitarist. I've got his name now, and I nearly got into one of their gigs before it all kicked off with my auntie. Or I can't remember. It was a few years back. They were performing, and because I was looking after my auntie at the time, I couldn't go. But he actually went to school with a guitarist. They come from Stourport, just down the road. But Am I Evil? Metallica covered that song. And you look at their stuff, like you say, they're heavy, but I'll put them down as one of the most influential bands of all time, up there with Budgie, because everybody you see in modern metal, thrash, death, black, or whatever you want to call it, they always cite Diamond Head as a major influence.
Yep.
And he told me, because he actually said why they did. It's one of these bands that should have done better, but they didn't. And it was because of somebody's fault or somebody, but they should have been well up there, but they just didn't sort of reach their full potential. But man, they're a heavy, really influential band. It's a sad.
You always wonder. It's like Greg can attest to this. We Canadian rockers, Anvil. You know, they should have been bigger than what they were, and I think it was either a mix of bad management or just I can't tell you. I don't know. I've seen Anvil many a times. And they're a phenomenal Canadian hard rock metal band, and they just didn't get the big stage. They just didn't get that, right? So,
yeah, it's one of these bands that I was aware of them, but it didn't pick up any of their records.
Yeah,
you always have that Anvil on the front. You can't afford everything in life, but I remember them back in the day. And it's one of these bands I wish I'd paid more attention to. Anvil.
Yeah. Oh, I still get that today. I always look back at bands, and I'm late to the party on a lot of these bands. When I say late to the party, I'm like within the last 10 years, Crocus being one of them. Phenomenal band. They weren't one of the bands that there was so much music out. Crocus was a big band, but they didn't jump out at me until about 10 years ago.
Wow.
It was just one of those bands that I was like, how did I miss this band?
Yeah.
Tigers band. Like, how did I miss this?
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes, right?
Yeah, I'm the same with Greg. Greg will testify because Greg is being introduced to me to a lot of bands. I've just got Montrose, The Sting. It's the best of. And that's another band that's sort of like, why don't I sort of, this? And there was another band Greg's introduced me. Some of them, I can't remember. They're a punk rock deal I've been listening to. We wouldn't have got that over here, but it's stuff like Montrose and Foghat. It's another band. And that was their British band that I should have listened to more back in the day. Foghat was another one. And he's introduced me to, especially watching Greg's channel, Blackmore Rules. And I think, why don't I listen to this stuff back in the day instead of going for the stuff I may have bought and I haven't enjoyed so much? What was that other band I was listening to? Not Blackfoot. Oh, there was a 70s rock band. Greg, you might know. You put me onto a few. Huh?
Was it Riot?
Blackfoot. Blackfoot, is it?
Riot?
So they're a Southern rock deal.
Oh, the Southern rock. Yeah, it'd probably be Blackfoot or Molly.
Yeah, Blackfoot. They were good. I really enjoyed it. And I thought because I remember when they come over here, I thought, why didn't I buy that? You just can't, buy everything. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. You can't buy everything, and I go through those phases all the time where I look at albums and think how much I want them, and it's like I can't own or listen to everything. My music collection now, I'm lucky to play one CD every couple of years. So, like for example, this past year, 2023, I ended up buying like 22 albums for 2023. I don't even know when I'm going to get a chance to play them. Like all of them, right? So, and then right now, right before we come online, I was playing the new Saxon because they got an album coming out in January.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that album to come out. So,
what do you think of the new Doro? I'm in two minds whether to buy that because he's got a solo with Rob Alford, which is Total Eclipse of the Heart. She's got, another Living After Midnight solo with Rob Alford. But I've listened to it, and I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. I'm thinking, is it worth buying at the moment?
I've never heard it.
Yeah, it's strange because I love Doro to pieces. And I've always been a huge fan of Doro since she came out with Warlock.
Yeah.
But I can't. It's Nuclear Blast, which is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
But I just can't. I ain't bought the Stones new one yet, which is rare for me. But I was listening to the Doro tonight. Should I buy it or should I buy something else? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And you know, Greg, because I know in your part of being in Vancouver and stuff, I know you probably have a lot more access to music stores than what I have back here. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. If you ever come across a copy on CD, is Headpins Turn It Loud.
On CD?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I have 2 copies on cassette, but I don't have it on CD.
I think I sent a copy of that to Steve.
Yeah, I think you did as well.
Headpins Turn It Loud.
I'm sure he did. It's got a big speaker, like a subwoofer
Right.
on the front.
Got the
Yeah.
Marshall speaker, yeah.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah. I meant to mention that to Greg the last time I was talking to him through YouTube, just if he ever got a chance to find another copy of that in the wild, to let me know. And yeah, that's an amazing album too. Great Canadian rockers. That was one of the very first cassette tapes I ever bought.
Yeah.
Was Headpins.
That's another band Greg turned me on to. You know, a fantastic band. There's another band, I'll have to pull it out. It's more of a punk deal, but it's phenomenal. They do a great Maiden cover, and it's just amazing. The girl she's got a really good voice. But it's like another genre of metal Greg was talking about. It's Christian metal, or what we call white metal. And it was big in Canada and America, but over here never came. You might find the odd Leviticus album in a bin somewhere, but we never got that. But I'm really jealous of you American and Canadian fellas, because when it came to the rock and metal, you've got such a choice. It's unreal. But in this country, what you take for granted will cost us a lot of money over here because they're so rare.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we haven't discovered it yet. You know what I mean? But you need sort of a wheelbarrows full of money. Like if you've got 100 grand in the bank, you could go out and start discovering all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But I've got to be honest, when I've done this show with Greg, I feel intimidated because he's got such a knowledge of all this music. And I think, why didn't I listen to that? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I would have probably picked that up back in the 80s, some of it. And it's just like you listen to it, it's so good. And you think, why wasn't I listening to that stuff? You know what I mean? But with us in UK, if you wanted specialist stuff, you had to go to London. Soho, it's famous for something else. Now we won't go interested in London. But it used to be the heavy metal capital of the world. If you wanted rock or metal, there was a couple of decent record stores in there. They've both closed down and become something else that we won't talk about. But there's some great record stores down there. But yeah, I mean, I think to myself, well, why didn't I listen to this stuff? You know what I mean? When it came out.
But you know, Steve, you know, when we look at the guy in the middle right now with Greg, like his knowledge of music is unbelievable, right? But we all have our knowledge of music.
Yeah.
In different genres. You know, Greg's just a hard rock metal guy, classic rock. Like Greg wouldn't turn and listen to Bathory or Death Angel or those. I would, right? Because I always said it, and I'm never going to change. Music is all about the mood you're in.
Exactly.
Go to work one day. If it's Friday, I'm happy. I want to hear Motley Crue. I want to hear Poison. And then there's days I'll come downstairs and sit, and I'll play, you know, Cannibal Corpse and Bathory and Celtic Frost. And, you know, but that's just me.
Yeah.
My music is all over the place. So.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I'm the same. I like a lot of Stones. I like Springsteen, which is not metal, but it's amazing. Because a lot of my metal friends, I've turned them into Springsteen, and not one of them has come back and said to me, "This is junk." They've all liked him. Yeah. And the same with the Stones. And I said, if you want to hear raw music, forget all the heavy metal. And I lend them a couple of Stone CDs from '63, I said, it doesn't come much rawer. And I've turned into a lot of people into a lot of bands. But, it's like round here, as I say, it's like the big four we've got. And it's just, like you say, it's amazing. What's that one?
Billy Joel, Glass Houses, still one of my favorite CDs.
Wow, Billy Joel, yeah.
So,
wow.
No, again, it's all the music. It depends on what you want to listen to and what you want to hear. Talking about Molly Hatchet. I love Molly Hatchet. I got a couple of their vinyl. I don't have anything on CD, but I do have a couple of them on vinyl. And they're another great bluesy hard rock band, right?
Well, my secret pleasure, and I've been a fan of them since 1974, is Sparks. Do you remember this town? You listen to it or Google it. And they're one of the most influential bands on the planet. I don't care, because they went sort of synthy in the late 70s. I still like this stuff. It's very, very poignant music. It talks about the world we're listening to.
Okay.
And, I mean, it's just so good. And Ron and Russell Mael, they're in their 70s now. But I'm a secret Sparks fan. I think they're phenomenal.
So, Greg, this is out of all the hair metal bands I listen to.
Hang on, mate. I'll put you on the big screen.
This is my all-time favorite, which is this is the new Rat box that it came out for 2023, and it's got all of the albums that Rat did, the first 5 albums. I debated on whether I was even going to pick it up, and then I decided, you know something, I'm going to get it, because when I look at the Motley Crue, the Poisons, Rat has always been my favorite band out of that genre, still is. So I just didn't know if you were a Rat fan or if you liked them or if Steve likes them. Not 100%.
I like Rat. I've got all their records. I've definitely got the first 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Good band.
Yeah, I haven't had a turntable for a long time, but I did have about the first 3 or 4 Rat albums, and I remember I just made a point of I'm going to listen to these records when no one's around, just loud, back to back to back to back, and I kept thinking, holy cow, it's because hair metal gets a bad name of just being.
It does,
but that was just good melodic hard rock, and the song "Round and Round" still sounds sonically as good as you can get, like so clear, and I just love that song.
Yeah, I think Warren DeMartini of Rat is probably, he's like the Jakey Lee, 2 of the most underrated guitar players. Period.
Yeah. Well, Jakey Lee's got to be up there as one of the best to the upset Sharon Osbourne. Yeah. He should have done more with Ozzy, but apparently I don't know why he got kicked out. I think he had an argument with Sharon or something.
He wanted the rights to Bark at the Moon. She wasn't willing to budge on that.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, he's got to be up there. He's definitely a top guitarist. Yeah. Oh, have you seen this, Dan? I think I may have him. This will blow your mind.
Before I forget, while you're looking, Dan, do you care if it's vinyl or CD or cassette for whatever for the head pins? Turn It Loud.
Well, I've got 2 cassettes.
Okay.
Of Turn It Loud. So I was out in the wild here looking for just the CD, and I tried finding it on Amazon. I couldn't find it. And I mentioned it to you a while back. Say, if you ever found a copy, I would take it.
Yeah, I for sure will. Yeah, because I think I've seen it the odd time in the wild. So yeah, no, for sure. And that was one of I've said this before years ago. If I could send one song over to Europe, to the biggest radio station in Europe, to show what Canadian rock is, it would have been the song "People" from the Headpins.
Oh,
Headpins live about 4 or 5 times, mainly in the last 5 years. But I did see them in about 1970 when that album came out. I was sitting from Me to You from Derby, and I'm just go, holy cow! They just blew me away because that album was fantastic. And the guy hanging around with, he had always played that in his car with his Craig 8-track, or was it cassette? I don't know, but anyway, power play stereo. Yeah, so that album got a lot of play. So yeah, next time I find it, for sure I'll send it.
But that was one of the first cassette tapes I ever bought was Headpins.
Wow.
So, and I still have it.
Fair play. Dad, I just want to show you my 2 most prized possessions. Well, it's free, but these are my most prized CDs. And you'll see why. Greg's already seen them. You know Bernie Marsden?
Yeah.
Sadly, we lost him a few months back. These I wouldn't sell for. I love this guy. This is a signed Bernie Marsden, his latest couple of albums. You can see the signature on it, Bernie Marsden.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this will want to blow your mind. It's a personally signed Bernie Marsden CD.
Oh,
To
wow.
Steve from Bernie Marsden. All the best, Steve, from Bernie Marsden.
Oh, wow.
And after he did one of these albums, he died a couple of months back. He died, was it last year? I can't remember when. Yeah, they are my two most prized possessions.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I got them through the website because if you bought this, because I've always been a huge fan since he was in Whitesnake.
Right.
And he wrote "Here I Go Again." That was one of his songs.
Yeah.
And John Sykes, I met him. He was a local lad to me. He played in that lineup. But yeah, Bernie, I love his guitar. They're blues albums. But yeah, they're my most prized possessions.
Yeah. They are very cool.
Yeah, but he's an underrated British guitarist. So is John Sykes, but he was up there as well.
Yeah, John Sykes was a phenomenal guitar player. He played for the solo album for Don Dokken for
yeah.
Up in the
He's
Ash.
played sort of a lot of bands, but he hasn't done anything recent.
No.
So he upset Coverdale in Whitesnake apparently because he's got a good voice and he wanted to sing, but Coverdale famously said, "I'm the singer of this band," and that's why they split up. And he did that album with that band. I can't remember what they were called. It was a rip-off Whitesnake album, but he has done stuff. But he sort of fizzled out. He's trying to get stuff going, but it's not worked for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's definitely an underrated British guitarist.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And has a book out.
Wow. Well, I'll have to read that sometime. But yeah, I met him in Camberley Rockbox years ago. He was a young man then. But I met Rick Wakeman there as well. Met quite a few of them, but he was in there because he was his local record store. He was always hanging about. Lovely fella. You could approach him. And I knew it was John Sykes. I thought, you know, and yeah, he was all right. Because he's a local lad from Reading. I think he's from Camberley or Reading, one of them places.
Okay.
I think he lives in America now, but he's sort of done projects, but they don't seem to go far now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to show Dan something because these guys are from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Do you know them?
I don't think I know them.
They're like Canadian Motorhead almost. They're
No,
real rock and roll, but they're really heavy, but tasteful and melodic. I don't know if you can read. It's probably the print's too small, but they thank a whole ton of bands. They may be local bands that maybe you know one or two. I don't know, but
I don't know. I've never heard of them before.
oh yeah, this is from about 2003. It's Canadian, and
Really?
yeah, this is a fantastic album. I worked at a radio station, and when this came in, there was a stack of CDs, and when I looked at the cover, I went, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to check this out." I mean, talk about looking like Fast Eddie Clark.
Yeah, no kidding.
Except for one song has a little bit of a naughty sexual innuendo at the end, but the last song has a almost the best heavy metal ending for a studio song. Like it just keeps going and going. You kind of start laughing because it's about a minute and a half of just the song's over, but it's not. Then it's not. Then it's not. But it just builds up. But yeah, they do a song. At least one song's kind of about wrestling. So I think it talks about Stone Cold or whatever. I don't know. It's got a wrestling song on it. But yeah, you can check it out on YouTube. It's pretty darn good. Any song. But the last song is the one with the big ending, big stick or whatever it's called. But yeah, you'll love them. You'll just instantly go, this has the crunch that you want. And there's some great crowd footage of them. I can't remember if it's just one song or two songs, but just the crowd video of it and the crowd just intense, a little club, you know, that sweaty club type of deal. But you'll instantly just go, wow. So,
You
yeah,
say
the Hill Walkers.
Hill Walk? The Heel Walkers, that was the name of it?
Yeah, it's just the Heel Walkers. There's no.
I'm going to have to check that out for sure.
Yep, no, you'll like them for sure. I wish I could play them for you right now, but we don't want to get copyright.
Oh, yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah, I think I've got. You sent me one of them CDs, Greg, and it's on my playlist.
Oh, good. Yeah,
everyone, I've got 10 going here. About 25. You know how it is when you collect CDs. And you got like, I listen to that. You know, and you sort of playing the stuff. I was listening to Black Sabbath the other night with Ronnie James Dio. It was one of their live gigs off the Heaven and Hell tour. And it's got Neon Lights, which is my favourite song, and the other great track off that album. And it's just, it was rare because I didn't know. I know Dio did them, but he did these old Sabbath Ozzy's type hits. And I'm not saying he's better because that's arrogance, but he put different elements onto them, and the recording quality was dead great. It's a bootleg, but it's one of them ones they keep issuing now on eBay. But it's really, really good quality, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I keep playing that at the moment. But it's somewhere like Hartford, Connecticut, or somewhere they did the show.
Oh, yeah. I don't like Ozzy. How Dio did. No, I shouldn't say I don't like it, but I just find it not Ozzy. When Ozzy does Ozzy songs, I think when Dio covers them, it loses something. Like Dio with Rainbow Rising is one of the great vocal performances and greatest album ever. But yeah, I just think that Dio was doing that, like where Tony Martin, I think, does a better job. Tony Martin sounds more like Ozzy and Dio and Tony Martin. I think he does a little bit, just sounds a little more like, well, I don't know, like Ozzy. No one can sound like Ozzy, but
no, the way I always look at it, Ozzy does Ozzy songs. Nobody will beat it, but everybody else does different interpretations of it. Yeah, and if you like it, like it. If you don't, you don't. But nobody will replace Ozzy on them songs or get as doomier. Oh, I shouldn't have used that word. Scratch that, or you know, that sort of atmospheric vocal or stuff like that. And Ozzy's Ozzy. He's forever like. But like Dio, I mean, I just took them for what they were. Was variations of the theme. You know what I mean? Yeah. He put his Dio style into it, like he did Sweet Leaf, which is I love that song. He did Children of the Graves on there. That's why I bought it. It's two of my favourite songs. He did a great version of that. It's not Ozzy, but he did them. It was all right.
So I wonder if Dan likes Dio era Sabbath better than Ozzy era Sabbath, because some people do.
I'll tell you, Heaven and Hell is probably one of my favorite Black Sabbath albums. So,
whoa, yeah, you didn't say a winner yet, though.
No, I say winner. I love Sabbath. To me, Sabbath is Ozzy.
Yeah,
it truly is. It's to me when I think Black Sabbath, I think of Ozzy. I just wish what Black Sabbath made Heaven and Hell, which is just a phenomenal album. Maybe they should have just named the band Heaven and Hell, changed it, did something right. But you got to remember, Mob Rules. They're just amazing. Two amazing albums.
I know, yeah.
All right. So.
Well, because I've heard this may or may not be true, but Dio did something really naughty when he did Mob Rules. And apparently the third Dio album was Sacred Heart. And that was, I've always wondered, because I've sort of followed that album for years. I think I've told you a story, this, Greg, I may be wrong. But it's one of these, this name is sort of in my head. I've heard that before. And wherever, I mean, Sacred Heart, it bugged me for ages. And apparently it was a public school in Birmingham called Sacred Heart, and I used to walk past it. And I think Geezer Butler went there. I may be wrong. Now, with the Mob Rules album, Dio left and he took Vinny, I can't pronounce his second name, a Preist. He ended up in Dio, but apparently the first three Dio albums, a lot of that material was earmarked for the third Dio era Sabbath album. I don't know if this is true or not. This is what I've heard. And apparently, after Mob Rules, they're supposed to have done a third album. But Dio was one of the great copiers in metal. Geezer Butler invented that. He was doing it. He used to sign off from interviews, throwing up the horns. Then Kiss claimed it was Gene Simmons said he invented it. Then Dio said he invented it. But apparently I was watching on YouTube one night. I think you may have sent me it, Greg, or I sent you it. It was talking to Geezer Butler. And he said Dio was one of the best. He'd blatantly copy something and claim it for himself. And he reckons that the Sacred Heart, the third Dio album, the first was the one with the Preist, I forgot what it's called now, Holy Diver and Last in Line. Apparently, them albums, a lot of the material was earmarked for the third Sabbath album of that era of Dio. I don't know if it's true or not. That's what I've heard.
Well, that would have been better than the third Dio era Sabbath album that came out, Dehumanizer, which I don't like at all.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to be a whole different, they just went a whole different genre or half a genre different or something. But the Bob Rules in Heaven and Hell are just locked right in together. They're just like...
Yeah, it's a pity Dio jumped ship, isn't it? He went to Holy Diver next.
It's too bad he left Rainbow, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Kill the King is one of the greatest songs in rock history. And left, but...
Yeah. No,
well, that's the point. That was another free on plane, Greg, was after Bonnet, you know what I mean? The three Rainbow CDs.
Yeah, Joe Lynch.
I've listened to the first one with the Surgeons on the front, and that's pretty decent CD. It's one of these records. I thought, why don't I pick this one up as well? It's pretty good. And I've been listening to that a lot. Like that's going to feature in one of my future videos, next video. But I've been listening to them as well. I picked all three up for a stupid money. It was like £8 or £9. So I just picked the whole three up, and I've been listening to them as well. But yeah, with Dio, it was strange. But like you say, he was in Rainbow, but he's a funny guy, wasn't he?
Well, that's why I don't know why there's tribute albums for all these bands, but why isn't there a Dio tribute album where you could choose between the best songs from Black Sabbath he did and the best songs from... I mean, you could have the greatest tribute band in history because you're choosing from those three bands.
Yeah.
He smoked himself to death, didn't he? He was a heavy smoker.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he's only a small fellow, wasn't he? He was like 5'2" or 5'3" or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I was about 15 feet from him because when I was at Sweden Rock at a press conference where the band Heaven and Hell were at the table, anybody could ask anybody anything. And I did that with Lee Aaron, and I did it with Stryper, I did it with Lemmy. But when those guys were there in front of me, I just froze. I was too scared to say anything, so I didn't say anything. I'm so stupid.
I would have gone over.
I wanted to ask Dio, did you ever invite Tony Iommi and Richie Blackmore over at the same time to come and jam in your basement? Because you can imagine a band with Blackmore and Iommi playing together. I mean, but I don't know. But I just froze.
I mean, Tommy Iommi, people might not know, but he had several fingers missing, or he had something wrong with his fingers. Considering he's not, imagine what it would have been like if he had all his fingers. So apparently he's got leather caps on his fingers. Yeah, and this is what people don't realise. He's got shorter fingers than everybody else. Yeah. And he still has to do them. He's got these special, I don't know what they're made of, but he has to put them on. They're like leather caps. Can you imagine if he had his full fingers? I mean, he's a phenomenal guitarist. He's sort of, I don't like to use the word, but handicapped. Can you imagine if he never had his leather caps on his fingers? It's just amazing bloke, isn't he?
Yeah.
And people don't realise when they think of Tommy Iommi, they think, oh, it's his fault, he's got all his fingers, but he ain't. And those riffs with early Sabbath, you can't go wrong, can you?
No.
And Dan, when did you start picking up guitar? Like, if you could play the bass, you could play lead guitar too, or a rhythm guitar even?
I've got 3 guitars. I've got a couple of acoustics, and then I got a Fender Strat. And then I think I started playing guitar when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10 or 11 years old. My parents were big kitchen partiers. So my father played guitar, and then my father just wrote me 3 chords on a piece of paper, and those were the 3 chords I learned. And then I remember being in grade 7, 8, 9, bringing my guitar to school. There'd be 3 or 4 of us all bringing guitars to school, and
wow.
Went from there. Yeah. Well, I know, life gets a little busy, so I don't play as much as I'd like to. But But yeah, I still try and pick it up every now and then when I can.
Yeah, I've got a story about the guitar back when I was in grade 7. The music teacher said, you have a choice of learning the guitar or the recorder. You know what a recorder is?
Yeah.
So I chose the recorder. The reason why, because he had an acoustic guitar. The principal was the teacher, and he'd play these horrid songs like, I don't 500 miles, la, 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 like just hideous songs. So I didn't want to learn guitar. That was just when Led Zeppelin came out with maybe even Led Zeppelin 1, like our librarian. Yeah, he had it in his car, and that kind of perked my interest a little bit. But I'm such an idiot because I've always wanted to play guitar. That's the stupidest, biggest dream I just blew because it's so
Well, you're
hard.
a good player, Greg. Don't undercut yourself. You can play.
No,
Careful.
no. I just wish
I
I was
think
like,
you're pretty good. You're better than I am, and you just got to practice. But you've got the basics. You're there.
nah, not like Dan.
Well, my story is less romantic than your two stories. I had to play sports, and unfortunately, I was good at football, and I was good at rugby union. I had no choice. We always play. All I did was at school was play football through my childhood, and we're not it's English football, not the American style.
Yeah.
And we just that's all we did at night. We used to kick turfs of grass round if we never had a ball, and we used to make a goal post out of our coats, and we played football. And we never played instruments. Then when I was 15, I took up rugby, and I was really good at that. And I played for my county. I was trialled at football for Leicester. That was a Premiership. Was it Premiership or Championship English team? Google it anyway, Leicester Football Club. And that was in 1980, 81. I had trials for them. I was that good. But I would never made it as a footballer because my biggest regret, I should have gone into rugby. I could have probably done good.
Yeah.
But never did instruments at school.
No. That was always my biggest thing, music and sports. So this never changed.
For sure.
Well, I'll tell you the story because Greg knows I had a really unstable childhood. My old man wasn't a nice person, and my mum and dad were always arguing. And that's how I got into the music. You could put the earphones in, and all you could hear was the music. You couldn't hear what was going on in the house.
Yeah.
My brother, he was very academic. He used to write stuff and make signs and do stuff like that. And me, I wasn't clever enough to do any of that stuff. I was useless at school. I mean, I wasn't bad, but I wasn't great. And the only way I could express myself was through sports. And when it got a bit bad in the house, my mum always bought us a stereo. And back in the day, it was like a cheap thing. You wouldn't believe some of the record decks. That's another story. And CD players I've had. And I used to put the earphones in and bang it out. And that was my relief. It always has been in life. The only problem is I've got tinnitus in both ears now. I get this horrible noise. When I go to a concert, it makes this horrible noise. It lasts for about 12 hours. And it's caused by listening to too much music. I don't know if any of you guys have got it. And that's by listening to the too much music live through the earphones.
No, I don't have anything like that. But yeah, I know I know what you're talking about, but I don't have it, no.
Yeah, it's a horrible. It sounds like it's form of tinnitus. The only thing with mine, it goes. Some people, it's there permanently. And I feel really sorry for them because it must be absolute agony. Mine, if I go to a concert like the Wasp gig, it lasted about 10, 12 hours. And it went by the morning. I sleep on it, take a couple of paracetamols, it was gone. And that's the real reason why I don't go to too many gigs now, because I've wrecked my hearing. All the punk gigs at the Haygate, the music was on loud, and it's wrecked my hearing. It's also I used to work in them sort of places, you see. And it wasn't just metal and punk; it was dance music, and I was forced to listen to and all this stuff. I've got a little problem with my hearing, and it just aggravates it. You know what I mean? So I don't bother.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to cut this because my phone is going to die. And I don't even
No, mate. Listen, Dan, are you up for another show in 3 weeks' time?
What's that?
Are you up for another show in 3 weeks' time?
I'm up for whenever you guys want to have me on.
Are you up for it, Greg?
Oh, yeah.
Should we do Iron Maiden's top 15 next lot, or someone pick one?
I would love to.
Sure.
What do you think, Greg?
Sure. Yeah. No, that's pretty good. Because I know that gets a big squeeze at the top 5. That's going to have the same
think-
kind of.
Priest was hard. Iron Maiden will be even harder.
Is that a
Yeah.
date?
Perfect.
Okay, Dan, listen, man, it's a pleasure to see you. And as I say, see you in 3 weeks, mate. We'll do the Iron Maiden one.
Yep, that sounds awesome. Thanks for having me on, Steve. Greg, thanks for having me on. And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Cheers, buddy. That's a date.
Cheers.
Yep.
See you
Thanks,
later.
everybody.
Thanks a lot, Dan. See you, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right on.
Cheers, mate. Greg, hang on, mate. Hang on a sec, please. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Oh, I'll leave it. I'm not listening about. That's it. It's off. Yeah. What do you think, Greg? Did you enjoy yourself?
They used to have the other times when you stopped it, there used to be a message saying stream stopped or something.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, cool job. One of us is awake.